Shaina Zazzaro is the founder of Effortlessly Healthy, Rochester's go-to company for fresh, healthy meal delivery, catering, wholesale, and food truck services. Effortlessly Healthy is ranked among the top 100 fastest-growing companies in Rochester and number 8 for the fastest-growing women-owned business enterprise in 2024. Shaina launched the business back in 2013 with just $1,000 and a mission to help others eat better after personally losing 60 pounds and putting her severe arthritis into remission through clean eating. Her journey hasn't been easy, from homelessness to near bankruptcy, being robbed, and losing her sister in 2018. She never gave up. Even after giving birth, she took just one day off before jumping into her purpose-driven work. Now, Shaina is shifting her focus towards inspiring others, especially women, to believe in themselves and chase their dreams, no matter how hard the road. Resilience is power, and her story is proof that you can overcome anything when you refuse to quit. Shaina, thank you so much for being here.
You reading my story just gave me chills
Got
and a
goosebumps?
little bit of tears that I'm holding in. Wow, it's funny. Sometimes you don't realize like all the things you've done because it's just my life. Mm-hmm. So hearing someone read that out loud, pretty powerful stuff.
It is. And when you sent that, I was reading it and I immediately sent it to Carter. I'm like, holy shit, like her story is insane. Like you've been through so much adversity and here you are now absolutely crushing it.
Yes. And I'm on like chapter 2. We're going to get into everything. I'm excited to share everything with you, but it's funny, chapter 2 is now me really getting out there, me sharing my story, and me inspiring absolutely everyone I can, from young to old and everything in between. I have a story I'm not afraid to tell. I'm not afraid to tell all of the failures, which I think is a really big deal, especially for entrepreneurs and CEOs, is that a lot of times you just hear, I'm successful, I've made it. And people don't tell you the real hard truths. And that's what I like to focus on in my keynotes, in my upcoming book. It's going to be out probably in June or July. It's going through editing right now. And just in general with my speeches, I like to tell people the truth because people need to hear it.
I love that. Well, let's jump right into it. Take us back to whenever you want to start your story. Where does your journey in entrepreneurship begin?
Honestly, my story starts as a kid. My mom was a single mother with 2 kids, and I saw her struggle. So that was a big part, a good driving force my whole life was to someday be able to support and take care of my mom. I never wanted to see my mom struggle. She's just a great lady, and she doesn't deserve that. I was actually picked on pretty badly growing up. I remember 5th grade, I'd go home crying every day. I was bullied. I was fat. I was ugly. I looked like a boy. I mean, I was tormented. And mentally, the bullying got me for a long time. I ended up being 195 pounds in, my late teens. I never fit in with like a certain crowd in high school. So I had friends, but not tons. I went to the guidance counselor when I was in my sophomore year, and I said, I'm done with high school. I want to get out. And she said, you're too smart. We're going to figure out a way to get you out, but you're getting your degree. So I ended up taking English 11 over break in summer break, because what did I care? I didn't have anything else to do anyway. And I skipped a year of high school, and everyone thought I was kidding. When I came in and said, I'm graduating this year, like, no, you're not. Yeah, I did. I graduated when I was 16. I started college when I was 16. Fast forward to my last semester at MCC with 1 week left. I get a job making $40,000 a year working at Frontier in a call center. I dropped out of college. I took all Fs, and I took the job because I wanted the money. Didn't realize what would happen. So I went through, I worked there, and everything I did, though, one thing is I made sure I was always top. I was top 5 sales. I always had to be great at something. Yes, it didn't matter what it was. Yep. And we ended up, I lost that job, and then I worked for this lady who I was her personal assistant. She owned this martial arts company, and she was a big stepping stone in my life. This lady, Dana, love you, Dana, and Paul, they owned this world martial arts company. They started this business, and I was their assistant. And she quickly realized, well, this girl shouldn't be like folding my laundry and ironing my clothes. She should be like helping me run my business. So I turned into that as like her general manager, if you will. But then they got a divorce. And then I ended up so broke, I couldn't get a job. Because I quit because they were in a divorce. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't. I ended up working at a strip club for a weekend to pay my rent. No one would hire me. I am not kidding you when I say I applied everywhere. I was a size 13, wearing a mini dress and a garter, walking around selling $2 tutors. And it made enough money for me to pay my rent for one weekend. And then that money was stolen. So I had to start over. So it's like I've had so many times where I've like hustled to get somewhere and then I got crushed. But my resilience, I never gave up, like no matter how hard things were. And that was one of the lowest points of my life, I'd say.
I'm sure, yeah.
So long story short, I went back to MCC eventually, replaced all those S with A's, graduated. Then I go to SUNY Brockport and I'm like, I want to be a teacher. And the lady looks at me, she's like, you'll never make enough money being a teacher. You'll never be happy. And I appreciated that lady's honesty because she's right. I would have probably been miserable. So I was a bartender at Black and Blue in one nightclub, back when one nightclub first was popping,
I remember,
you know?
yeah.
And totally bullshitted my way through, by the way. I said I was this great bartender when I got my job at one. I did a bartender training course. I just threw myself in and learned. I mean, sometimes you just have to go for it.
Yep. Yeah.
And but then at Black and Blue, I ended up losing my job there. They fired me for a ridiculous reason, so I got some unemployment. Went to SUNY Brockport, healthcare administration, graduated summa cum laude, healthcare administration with a minor in business administration. Thought I was gonna, go for it, get my dream job. Ended up back as a waitress at Bonefish Grill selling $5 Bing Bang shrimp on Wednesdays. And I mean, talk about a low. I'm thinking, I'm gonna kill it, right? I have my degree, I'm gonna get a job, and then I can't get it. I'm back selling $5 fried shrimp. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was another very low point in my life. And then I read this book called The Secret.
The Secret.
And The Secret says, manifest your destiny. You could do anything as long as you manifest it.
Okay.
So I was like, all right. So every day I got ready, I went to this job, and I used every table I was serving as an opportunity instead of just a job. So I took a table from a section that this lady couldn't handle her tables, and I walk up to this man, and my name is Shaina, it's nice to meet you. And then I always slid in, just graduated top of my class, summa cum laude for healthcare administration, can't get a job. And he looks at me and he said, my daughter was in the same position as you, and I want to help you. I'm the CFO of Strong Memorial Hospital.
No shit.
Oh, wow.
If you send me your resume, I will help you get an interview. I received 2 interviews, one with the Department of Psychology and one with the Department of Surgery. My boss in the Department of Surgery says to me, we want to hire you. We see you are someone who will move up in the ranks quickly. We want to make sure you are dedicated to this position for 3 to 5 years. I worked there for 6 months. I was the youngest administrator in the hospital. I saved up, I had $1,000 in my bank account, made myself a pretty good credit score, and I had lost 60 pounds and taken my arthritis from severe to in remission. And everyone's like, how do you look like this? What do you do? And I'm like, I eat healthy. Mm-hmm. And everyone had the same excuses. I don't have time. I don't know what to do. I can't cook. Full disclosure, I couldn't cook either. I was okay. I saw my mother and my grandmother cooking, and I just sort of figured things out. I mean, that's the thing. In my life, I've always figured things out. Like, no was never an option. If I get an idea for something, I'm going to try my best to succeed.
Yep.
And I was homesick one day, and I was telling a friend who was starting a gym, I have this idea of starting a meal service. And this was when I didn't know Lean Nation existed. I think he had just started when I got my idea, maybe a few months before. I only knew about the national brands, which most of them are not in business anymore.
Really?
And I was like, there's nothing really like it. I think I want to go for it. And she's like, so do it. I was like, I don't know anything about business. She's like, you're Shaina. Like, you will figure it out. Go for it. So I went to the bank. So I had $1,000 in my own bank account. I went to the bank and I took out a $10,000 unsecured personal loan at like an 18% interest
Crazy
rate.
interest, yeah.
I went on Craigslist at the time. I found a 1978 Shasta RV that someone had at a golf course in Buffalo. It had a like 3-foot grill, a mini fridge. It was a camper. I did not know what I was doing. I bought this thing. I went on LegalZoom. I did $750 and I created an LLC. I remember I was on the phone with my sister one night just brainstorming names. We had like Delectably Delicious, and then Effortlessly Healthy. And I was like, that's good. Mm-hmm. And by the way, this was before everyone started using effortless in their marketing.
You're the pioneer for sure.
So I probably should have trademarked that. And I could have had a lot of lawsuits.
When I heard your name, I'm like, that's a really good name.
Thank
Effortlessly
you.
Healthy. I like it.
If you can say it and you don't get tongue-tied.
And I got to take my time with it. Right?
Yeah. So I get this RV. I'm still working at the hospital. They negotiate. I want you to stay. You could work 4 days a week instead of 5. We're going to give you a raise. I mean, they wanted to keep me. I realized I was good there. And I never saw, like, when you have surgeons applauding you for work you've done, in my mind, like, a surgeon is one of like the most powerful, intelligent people in the world, right? And when they were telling me good job, I was like, I'm important, you know? It was a feeling that I never felt before. And so, long story short, I realized that this RV was just that. And I ended up selling it for like $1,000 for parts. And then I had to take out another loan. And I had my mind on a food truck, which, just to let you know, did not even ever go to a food truck or understand what a food truck was until 6 months prior to starting the business, when I had a Repa on the Hello Arepa truck. I'd never seen a food truck until then. I never paid attention. So I go to the bank and I said, I'm getting married and I need $35,000 for my wedding. Because you can get an unsecured personal loan a lot easier than a business loan.
Yep.
Right.
And I had no business plan, by the way. I know you're supposed to have a business plan. I had none. Never. Still to this day,
Neither
nothing's
did I.
on paper. It's just all in this crazy mind.
Yep.
And I got a $35,000 unsecured personal loan. I turned it into a cashier's check. I went over to the food truck guy that's out of business now, and I had him build me my food truck, which ended up costing me like $85,000 probably after interest. Yeah. Finally, when I got an extra $10,000, I remember paying that thing off, and I was like, yes, it's finally paid for. I feel like most people would have just given up with the RV.
Sure.
So then I get this food truck built. I'm thinking I can run a meal delivery service because that was always my goal. Out of a food truck, you can't. you can't. There was no oven. So now I have to start building a commissary. So I start building this commissary. Well, I run out of money. I remember at this point I was making $30,000 a month. And that sounds like a lot of money to the average person. It is not when you're in business. And again, I got down to nothing. And I was like, Mom, this is it. At this point, I flew my mom back from Arizona. She was my executive chef helping me. We were in it. It was hard. We couldn't legally, by the way, if you have an LLC, you have to pay yourself. You have to pay yourself. I think when I started, it was like $333 a week. So I paid myself enough to pay the taxes. I could never cash my checks. Like for like 3-4 years, I couldn't take a paycheck. I took like just enough out of the business to pay for my essentials. But I mean, when I say I was like dirt poor, I am not exaggerating. During that time, I actually started my business with a friend who was supposed to be my chef, and we had a huge falling out. Don't ever do business with friends. It doesn't work. But we shared a house together. So we had a falling out. We couldn't afford the rent. So that's when I became homeless. I was couch surfing for probably 3 months, hiding, keeping my stuff in my truck. I had my stuff in storage, and I would go, whoever would let me stay at their house. My grandparents always lived in Brockport. I just never wanted to tell them how hard it was. I didn't want my family to know because everyone thought I was so crazy losing my career. Like, I had a great career. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not that I didn't have family I could go to. It's that I didn't want them to know.
Right.
But that was tough. So then now my mom comes back and helps me. And it was just, we get a place and getting this place built, and we were down to no money. And I remember I had contacted CrossFit. This was when I started. I was really into the CrossFit world, paleo, everything. Yep. And I submitted a bid to CrossFit Regionals. And again, didn't know what I was getting into. I opened up the mailbox to a $23,000 check from CrossFit. It was enough to pay everything and get back to zero. I had people come up with me. I took out a huge food loan with one of the food distributors and got a refrigerated van rented. We drove up to Cincinnati, Ohio. Every 3 hours, I had to set my alarm to turn my food truck generator off and then on, because my generator of my truck was in the parking lot of the hotel with no power, and I couldn't run it totally nonstop. We ended up doing $40,000 of sales in 3 days in a parking lot. We had to use the bathtub we didn't use the tub. We just used the bathtub as a place for us to do our dishes. I had no commissary. And then we turned around and did the same thing in Boston 2 weeks later.
Wow.
And it got me back to starting from square one again. And then it was a hustle. And then we are now at the public market, and the business starts growing. And I get up to 100 customers, which sounds like a lot. And we're like, okay, we're like out of this space. We need another space. So I find this place on South Avenue. Oh, I missed a very important part of my story. I have to back up.
Go ahead.
In 2014, November 17th, 2014, I at this point was like praying, I need to find a man that understands food trucks. I don't know what I'm getting into. I need to find this man. He's going to pop up someday.
This man, come to me.
Come to me, right? So I'm at a food truck rodeo in October, and this was right when the Chefs movie came out. Did you ever see that movie with the guy who starts the food trucks, the chefs?
No.
Oh, look it up. You'll see. I see this guy with the Chef's food truck have a longer line than me at a food truck rodeo, and I'm like, who is this guy? And I was pissed. I'm like, I'm thinking it's just some guy that's got all this money that's making this chef's truck because of the Chef's movie.
Yeah.
I see him at an event. He pulls up with his food truck, and I'm like, oh my God, it's this guy. And then he's got a catering van. I was like, whoa, he's got it going on. He's got a catering van and a food truck. I go to write my menu, and this was before I can afford like a nice menu. I'm using white chalk on a board, and I realize I have no chalk. So I walk up to this man, and I'm like, do you have any chalk I can borrow? He hands me a liquid chalk. I'm like, wow, he has got it going on.
That is premium right there.
So he's like, do you want to go upstairs and see my catering?
Whoa
is right. I was like, oh my God. I walked back on my food truck, and I said to the girl working with me, I was like, I am going to make him fall in love with me and learn everything from this man. And he got back on his food truck, and the guy working said, that's the girl you're going to marry. And ever since that day, we never separated. We've been together now, it's 11 years. We officially got married a couple years ago. If you look up food truck love story in Rochester, we were on the news, and there's a couple different articles that people have wrote, and there's a cute little news story on it. But he was a very important part of my life, and still is. The best thing about my husband, now that we're talking about him for a minute before I finish my story, is he supports me, but he never wanted to take any part of my business. And when we started dating, I had nothing. And he helped me for a while. But he always knew I would make it. And I remember when I first got to $14,000 saved in my bank account. Saved, like it was sitting there. And I remember showing him my bank account. I was like, I have $14,000 someday I'm going to have 1 million. And he was like, you are. I know it. And he really has been my rock, and he was always there for me, and he still is. So it's shout out to you, Mike. You're a good man.
Shout out to you, Mike.
But I think, a lot of people assume, oh, is it your husband's business? Or, oh, you guys are together. No, his business is his business and my business is mine. And we don't talk about them a lot. We keep them very separate. He's like my free handyman, but it's great. So then Mike and we met, and then I end up pregnant with Zoe 6 months later. He was the one. I said, let's just do it. So now I'm pregnant, getting into this place at South Avenue. I had a very nice friend, Gaetano Abetti. Love him. He is a master contractor. He's the guy that built Black and Blue.
Oh, nice.
He's the nicest guy. And I used to serve him as a bartender at Black and Blue. So here's the thing, what I've realized in life too is like, you never know the impact you're having on someone, the relationship you have. Even though I was just his server, or bartender, I made an impact on this man. And so years later, when I needed construction done, I reached out to him. And he said, I don't want any bit of your business. I've seen how hard you've worked. I've followed you. I'm going to give you a very low interest loan, and I'm going to do your construction for you.
Oh, what a guy.
Just the sweetest man. So he helped build out 1921 South Avenue, where I was for a little bit. And during that time, I actually got down to 7 customers, and I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. It was when I first got pregnant with Zoe, so Mike and I weren't living together yet. I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment with my mom, the sweetest lady in the world. She slept on the couch. She never wanted to take the bed from me. And we were down to 7 customers, and I was like trying to figure out, what am I going to do? And the reason we got down to 7 was because I didn't have enough money for staff. I was the dishwasher, the prep cook, the chef, the delivery driver, the administrator, everything.
You were everything, yeah.
And you can only do everything on your own for so long before you completely crumble. Like the best leaders in business understand that they have a team supporting them. And once you get to the point where you can afford the team to support you, that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was slow and steady to get to the point where we're at today, 12 years later. But it was a lot. And so I realized, what can I do? You have to pivot. Okay, now you got 7 customers. What's next? So I contacted University of Rochester Medical Center, and I went to the executives that knew me from my job. I own this meal service, and I sold myself. And here's the thing. In a business, you're selling yourself, and then you better have the product to back up what you just sold. They knew I was good. So I got in, I became a preferred caterer, started doing catering, learned from Mike, slowly grew. Now fast forward, now we're busy again. We have to find another spot. So now we're at Scottsville Road, where I'm at now, and I got that because the building is big enough for me to grow on the property. It's 7 minutes from the hospital, which is really nice because we do a lot of business with UR Medicine. But, stepping stones, it has been so hard to get to where we are, to get to the point where now, fast forward, multi-million-dollar company, top 100 company, turn myself into a multi-millionaire. I did it. And now I'm sharing with everyone, it was not easy. You see the nice cars, you see the business, you see everything. You now need to be reminded what it took for me to get there. I went to the Elevate Women's Summit a few weeks ago. Beautiful summit, lots of women interested in business, a bunch of different speakers. They had me on the last panel of the day. And we all got to give a closing remark. And I didn't speak much. So I was like, okay, with my couple of minutes, I want to make an impact. And I looked at all of the women and I said, it is hard. You will cry. You will have anxiety. It will be a challenge. And as long as you believe in yourself and don't worry about everyone else, Because if I worried about what everyone else said about me, thought about me, it would have destroyed me. I focused on myself to create my world, to create my business, and to fulfill my goals. And you can do it. But do not think for 1 second it's going to be easy.
Mic drop.
Yep. And I went to the bar for a happy hour after, and I had like 15 different women. You were so real and so raw and so inspiring. Thank you. I want to hear more. And so and before that, there was a lady that gave a speech prior, and I never knew this statistic. Do you have any idea the percentage of women-owned businesses that make it to $1 million of revenue?
I do because you told us, but I'll let you tell.
But before you didn't know,
I didn't
right?
know. 1.7?
1.9%. 1.9% of all women-owned businesses make $1 million of revenue.
Crazy.
What a terrible statistic. And women, you have to believe in yourself. Stop worrying about all the noise and find women that uplift you,
Yep.
not make you feel less than. And that's a big thing. I know in anyone, especially women, sometimes they can get catty. They could feel like there's competition. You need to find people that support you, that really want to believe in you and not compete with you. And then you get your team. And even if it's one good friend that's by your side, it's all you need is one good friend to motivate you. And then I tell people, you have to take care of yourself and your health and your wellness. And that's a big deal for me. I tell everyone knows Ivan's Fitness. That's my dude. He's my dude for a couple of reasons. When I was in my rut of cardio and I wanted to take my figure to the next level, I found who was perceived as the best in Rochester. But I stuck with him because he was tough on me at times. He didn't let me have excuses. And he taught me, you're capable, believe in yourself more. And I sort of, outside of my husband, never really had like a random friend come into my life and like, you got this, go. And he taught me, put yourself out there more. I saw this guy doing his videos. I said, I'm going to go do some videos, and I'm going to start motivating people. I can do it. But it took me to the point of becoming a weightlifter, getting back to my weight that I felt was a comfortable weight, and really getting healthy mentally, physically, everything, to be able to now confidently put myself out there and motivate people.
I love it. Thank you for being so extensive, because
I love it.
I always love when guests take it all the way back to where it started, because to your point, it can look like, yeah, overnight I just had all the success and here I am. But the adversity that you had to go through to get there is what people tune in to hear, because everyone has problems in their life. Everyone goes through shit. Shaina made it. 49 of the other people I've interviewed have made it. You can do it too. Keep your head down, work your ass off, and things will happen for you.
Yes.
My question that like really popped in my head when you were speaking is, you talked about getting that group around you, right? I find that a lot of business owners, and I used to hold this mentality too, whether it's the CEO, the business owner, where you're thinking of everybody as your competition, right? You think that you have to compete with everybody, and it's really not like that. And I think what's really important about you is you said, I just had to find that one friend, right? I'm sure you found more over the years, but finding that one group to support you, like how impactful was that, as opposed to just like, I'm going to try to lock in and do everything myself? You probably wouldn't have been able to, right?
Well, do you want to know a little bit about my very best friend in the world?
Let's hear it.
She is the executive chef of my company now. She was my sister's best friend growing up. She remembered me as the mean sister. She came to me a few years ago asking for a job. She ran my food truck for 1 year. And I was like, you are just the best person that's ever ran that truck. And then I was like, we need you to be a chef. And she was never confident enough to be my executive chef until we had a couple executive chefs not work out. And I was like, you know what? I'm actually not giving you an option. You are my executive chef. You are the only person I've ever met that is capable of being Shaina, and I need you. And she took on the challenge. And because of her, everything is running so wonderfully. And my Natalie, who started, Natalie was an intern. I actually worked with her mom at the hospital. She was an intern for me in college. I helped her get her last semester of college credits somehow. And she's worked for me for going on 9 years. She runs my whole operation on the front end. But, the two of them together, although Natalie and I are very much professional, we'll hang out sometimes, but not much. Mm-hmm. Alex is, I talk to her more than my husband, the poor guy. If he, one day I was sick and he didn't hear from me, he called Alex, have you heard from Shaina? She's like, no, something's wrong. If I haven't heard from Shaina, you know, my phone tells me to check in with her in the morning if I don't call her. But, you need that friend who, when I feel like a failure, because I feel like that sometimes. Sometimes I'm still not where I should have been. Mm-hmm. And it's just me saying that in my mind. I just want to be so great. Sometimes, it's hard. And she's the one that always tells me, you got this. Do you realize what you've had? Do I have to give you a reality check of how wonderful you are?
Well, to your point, reading your bio and hearing it all back, like you said, it's sometimes it's nice to just hear how far you've actually come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But a best friend that you can tell the real, raw truth to, and they support you, and they stand by you. I've had days where I have been down to the ground crying, and she has came over to my house and said, get up, you are Shaina Zazzaro, get up, And it's important. And I do have another, great group. I have so many wonderful friends, but, I think everyone needs that, at least that one core person. And then, Ivan, I look as a mentor, finding someone, I think a lot of people underestimate the power of a personal trainer. Mm. And I'm very big on it. Not only are they getting you in physical shape, a good trainer is actually going to really care about you. Mm-hmm. And you see that person every day. Yeah. They become a mentor to you. So finding someone else that's on your level that you can talk to, I bought myself my dream car. And I knew I could tell Ivan, and he was like, yeah. And I was like, I don't want anyone to judge me, but I did it. She pulled up in
that thing. I'm like, okay, Shaina, all
right. Yeah, but that was my life goal. That's why I did it. I was like, I don't care what this silly thing costs, how whatever it is to everyone else. Mm. When I started my business, that car was a goal. And I did it.
I think it's that term imposter syndrome, right? So you say there's days where you wake up and you're like, I'm just not where I should be. I feel like a failure. I know there's many days, usually Mondays, where I'm a little groggy and I wake up and I'm like, man, I'm not running things as efficiently as I want. We're not making as much as I want. And then it takes that person, like you said, or partners. I'm so thankful to have Cam and Keegan, who's our creative director, to just kind of remind each other, listen, we're maybe not where we want to be, but that's probably something that's in perpetuity. We're always going to think we should be somewhere where we're not. But I know that we're making good strides and we're making progress, right? And I know when you were starting out, you probably had those same thoughts of man, I want to be at 7 figures right now. I want to be at 8 figures right now. And it's just hard, as a business owner.
It is. And there's so many uncontrollable things. Look at just the economy right now. You never know. You could, one day could be look at the stock market. You could be up one day and you could be real low the next. So you just gotta, just like a stock, you gotta just keep it in and just wait it out.
Well,
and slow and steady, with anything, with weight loss, slow and steady. Even I love showing people my before pictures because I have sustainably lost 60 pounds. If you average how many years I've been losing weight, it's like a quarter pound a week I'm losing. Right. This is not rapid weight loss. You now see me now. You don't even know who I was before. Mm-hmm. So if people could just be patient, I think America wants these quick fixes all the time, but that's not reality. No one got $1 million overnight unless you're Kim Kardashian and you could do one Instagram post. That's not the real world. And competition, I'll be honest with you, and I've actually talked to him in person and told him there was one point in my life when I realized Lean Nation, who they were. oh my God, I was so fixated. Why does this guy have so much? Like, and I found myself in my own head trying to not compete, well, I guess compete. Why is this guy better than me? Mm-hmm. And I quickly realized, no, you are your own business. You are something different. He was the only person in Rochester that was similar to what I was doing, but still so different. And then I met him, and he told me a lot of things, and they're such different companies, but now I'm like, wow, Tim Doherty's a badass. You see how many locations this guy has and what he does, and I'm like, wow, like, you inspire me. Good for you, but I'm still going to keep doing what Shaina's doing because we are so different. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, and I have different targets with, like, I love seniors. I was very close with my grandparents. My grandfather, still alive, 94 years old, God bless him.
Wow.
And, you know, I love helping the senior community. I love being able to give seniors really good, healthy, fresh restaurant quality meals. Just because you're on a lower budget doesn't mean that you should eat junk food and high process and ultra sodium filled foods. So it's little things like that. You have to find things you're passionate about. And I'm so passionate about healthy eating. I think that's a big reason why Effortlessly Healthy works.
Yeah,
For sure.
And to speak on passion a little bit, I kind of go back and forth on this idea, and I've talked with other guests about it, about how you don't necessarily need passion. You don't have to start a business you're passionate about. I started a photography business. I had never picked up a camera in my life. I wasn't passionate. I just kind of fell into it. But when you are passionate about something like you are, you'll go through fucking anything to keep that business going because it's your dream. It fires you up. It's what gets you up in the morning. Passion can be a fuel, I think, that's more powerful than any of us even realize when you have that inside of you.
Yes.
And you want to show the world.
Yes, 100%. And sometimes not everyone figures out what they want to do. I was just talking to my sister-in-law the other day, and, you know, she's like, I'm a little torn. I'm like, yes, just think of what you love. You will figure it out. It's not a race. It doesn't matter if you're 20, if you're 40. The average successful business owner doesn't even start their business until they're in their mid-40s. You know, the average millionaire is in their 60s. I mean, people, you know, it takes time. And I've had every job from working at the strip club to being a cashier at the Dollar Tree to being an administrator. I mean, I've gone through so many different things, and I'm sure you have too.
Yep.
And it's important just to eventually find what you love, because I just feel like there's no point of living if you're just going through the motions.
Couldn't agree more.
You have to love what you do. You know, Alex has an immense responsibility of being my executive chef. She loves it, though. There's days where it's hard and she cries and it's tough and we cry together, you know, but she wakes up every day with purpose and positive intention and loves her job. And that's important. Right. It doesn't matter if you're starting your own business or you're just, you know, if you're doing a 9 to 5. You have to like what you do, because there's no point of living if you're not happy. You have one life. Make it your absolute best life.
Let's do this. I want to provide as much value to the people watching, especially the younger entrepreneurs who are just getting started. What did you do to get those first 5 clients? I talk about the first 5 clients being the ones who, if you treat them right, if you do everything for those first 5 clients, the referrals are going to take over. Where did those first 5 clients come for you?
So they actually came from my first food truck event. I got an event at some apple farm in Victor, and my menu had a nice menu. It was like ahi tuna tartare. I mean, I couldn't sell it on the truck. Now we did like flank steak. Oh yeah, I had this big idea. Now we do healthy trash plates, you know. And a city newspaper writer wrote a little article about the new healthy food truck. And I think I got like 5 or 7 customers from that.
Okay.
And then I just made sure my quality was good.
That's it. Yep.
And that's the thing now. I mean, I've been publicly bashed for saying I'm the best in Rochester. Do you want me to say that I'm the worst? Or do you want me to say I am the best and then give you the best food and show you why I am the best food in Rochester?
Love that.
So it's like, I tell my chefs, I will go on every interview that I ever do and say, Effortlessly Healthy is your best bet for a fresh, healthy portion meal service.
Clip it.
And you guys better not fuck up the food. And I will like joke if I go out of the country, love you all, don't fuck up the food.
Yeah.
That's just like my thing to them. And they, you know, there's nothing is perfect, but you got to try your damnedest to give a good quality. And, you know, with catering, you got to make sure your caterings are great. With everything, you have to give good service. You have to just make everything great, and you have to invest in your business. You know, my website is old. I have been working for the past 6 months I have a whole team of full-time developers. We are making a new website. I realized we need an Effortlessly Healthy app. I have an app coming. You have to spend money in your business. You cannot just put everything in your pocket. And that's a big thing. I mean, I own all of my equipment at my store. I purchased my building. You know, I own my vans. And it might take forever. I mean, look, it took me 8 years to own my food truck, but I finally did it. You have to invest your money wisely. You can't spend frivolously because you have it. And you have to remember, like when I started and I made 30 grand in a month, it might not be that much money. It might sound like a lot, but now add up the payroll of everything.
Yep.
I mean, you got $1 million a year of payroll you got to pay. And you have to pay people well or else they're going to go somewhere else. So just keeping all of that into account.
Yep, right on.
I mean, I was just curious sort of what your current team looks like because, you know, talking about your passion, I think as an entrepreneur, it shifts over time. So you had this passion to start out healthy eating, providing those solutions. But I'm sure now being in the position where you have other people sort of leading the day-to-day operations, your passion has shifted. So what does your current team like structure kind of look like?
So I have my executive chef, and then we have a head chef, a couple of sous chefs, a couple of other chefs that float around. We have one department of people that all they do all day is roll wraps. We do so much wholesale that I literally have a team in a room that they just literally
Just an
make
assembly line,
sandwiches
like roll.
all day.
That's
And then
awesome.
I have a meal packaging team that Natalie oversees. And then I have a whole team of delivery drivers that she oversees as well. So it's everything. I have a full-time social media girl.
Yes, important.
Full-time.
Yes.
Like that, you have to invest in your social media presence, and you need to pay somebody to do it consistently. Because when I was doing it on my own, it wasn't consistent. Paying someone to do it creates a consistent, positive presence, creates a bigger following, and a better brand.
Preach.
And that is important. I also realized the value of, marketing is huge. Marketing is huge. If you have no marketing, you have no business. I mean, that's it. So you can only market on your own to an extent. I've been doing commercials for a very long time. I have a lady who owns Frontline Advertising, this nice lady, June, that manages my commercials.
Yeah.
And I think that I have really become known in Rochester from my strong presence on TV.
You have, because I told my mom I was having you on. She's like, oh, I've seen her on TV like
Yeah.
all the time.
It's funny, like I was out to dinner with some girlfriends and I look at these people that are like whispering and like
Yeah.
blatantly
It's
like
like,
covering.
yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
me, it's me.
I know you're talking about me. You could just say hi and
Now,
I'll say hi back.
Do you like that? Do you like being like known when you go out? It's like
I just wish people would come up and just say hi.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know? I'm also the kind of person like yesterday, so my husband owns a party house and we just had a beautiful brunch. I'm the person that I will walk up to everyone, to the little girl and tell her how beautiful her shoes are, to the mom and compliment her outfit, to the old lady, that senior, not old, older lady that you could just tell took so much time and effort into her outfit and she just wants one person to say, you look beautiful today.
Yeah.
I'm that person.
I love that.
I walk up to everyone and everyone greets me and I wonder, do they know who I am? Is that why they're nice or are they just nice because I'm nice? But like I like being that person to go out and help make people feel good.
Yeah.
So, but if people do recognize me, it was funny. I went to I went to gelato with my kids, and I'll never forget this man. He had a really deep voice. Like, he sounded like he should have been like the guy on the radio for like the smooth jazz, you know? And he's like, I recognize you. You're famous. And then he stands up. He's like, she's famous, everyone. And I'm like, my kids are looking at me. I think we were in like sweatpants, and they were looking at me like, really, Mom? And we just started laughing, you know? So it's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, people associate like fame with commercials.
Yeah.
I don't think they realize I pay a lot of money for those commercials.
Sure do. The resilience is power. When I saw that in your bio, I'm like, I love that phrase.
It is.
Talk about how you develop that resilience, if you did develop it, or if it just naturally, that's how you are, and how other people can develop that resilience if they're going through tough times in their life, if their adversity is hitting them. How do you just push through and continue to move forward when all this shit is going on in your life?
I mean, my mom has always been such a driving factor. I have seen her be abused physically, emotionally, and I just always really wanted to take care of her. My sister was a drug addict for 10 years, and I saw her struggle. And when she was great, you know, and a beautiful life taken way too early because of a terrible drug.
I can relate. Sorry.
And you have to really, really just keep going when things get tough, because not everyone has the opportunity. My sister is going to be 28 in pictures for the rest of my life, you know? And I think of her, my mom, my kids. You know, I have to show these kids, like, they think mommy's a star. I can't disappoint them. And it gets tough. I mean, there's been days, when I started my business, I was drinking like a bottle or two of wine a day. I mean, I've had some tough emotional times. And sometimes it took longer to get out of than others. But ultimately, I do talk to myself sometimes. And I think it's important to talk to yourself and look at yourself and say, like, you can do this. You got this. So many people talk to themselves negatively. And if you're negative, what are you going to get out of that? But if you tell yourself you can do it, you can do it. And it's hard to snap out of things sometimes. But also, like the gym, I found such a passion in the bodybuilding. It's an hour a day. My phone is in the locker, and I'm just working out, and I'm focusing on myself. And I know it sounds cheesy from the owner of the healthy business, I eat very healthy. And I feel good because I don't ingest junk. And I don't drink a lot of alcohol now, a couple glasses of wine a week, sure. But, you know, I'm not going out on 3 bottles of wine a night anymore, you know?
Yep.
It's taking care of yourself physically and mentally combined.
It matters so much.
It does.
What we put in our body. And I've noticed that firsthand. Like, when I'm eating good, I feel good.
Yes.
When I'm eating like shit, I feel like shit. Go figure. Yeah. And something I've recently started doing is kind of redefining my relationship with food. Instead of eating because, oh, that looks really good and I want to eat that. Looking at the food as fuel for my body, for my brain, for my physical and mental health. And still indulging in stuff, because what's the fun of eating clean all the time? But if you can eat clean 90% of the time, you're going to feel great 90% of the time. So if I can give any advice to even like younger people just starting a business, Because I remember when I was starting my business, I was eating whatever I could on the go. Like you just gotta get by sometimes. But if you can eat clean, and while you're going through those hard times of starting up the business, it'll make your mental health so much better when you're going through that phase. So try your best, get a meal delivery service, and eat clean because it matters.
Pack your lunch.
Pack your lunch.
I am so cheesy. I made this one video one time. I had my Gucci purse in one hand and my lunchbox in another, and I was walking into a meeting and I didn't know what they were serving for lunch, and I was like, I know it's probably going to be junk, and I brought my own lunch, and I have no shame.
Hell yeah.
I mean, even like the other day, I forgot my lunch. Oh, I was so mad, and I was so hungry, and I didn't have time in between getting my kids and going to another meeting, and I had to go to Wegmans, and I grabbed an apple and a thing of chicken, and even that chicken was so salty I couldn't eat it. I was like, man, I was really without not having a lunch, which, by the way, I have a lunch for you in my trunk. I brought you an Effortlessly Healthy meal. I did not know there was going to be two of you, so you guys can share the meal, and I owe you one. So we got to get it on the way out. It was raining when we came in, so
I appreciate that.
My mind was getting away from the rain.
Very kind of you. If you could go back in time and give your 20-year-old self a piece of advice, what would you tell 20-year-old Shaina?
You're going to make it. My mom found a picture of me when I was 11 years old, and that was when I was picked on. And I looked at her and I said, girl, someday you are going to be a beauty queen. So now we're going to get into my announcement, because that was the perfect segue, right? So last year, and I was telling you, I'll tell you again, but I contemplated doing a fitness show, and Ivan said, what would you get out of that? And my answer was really nothing, right? I don't know what I personally would have gotten out of it, probably just disappointment. And I found the Mrs. New York pageant, and I realized if you become Mrs. New York, you get a great platform where you can travel around and you can motivate and you can inspire more. Women my age, kids, all of the in-between. I started working with the Junior Achievement Academy in Rochester, which is great. They inspire and motivate young adults, and they teach them financial literacy too, which is a huge, huge thing you have to learn. Like kids, like you have to pay off your credit cards. It is not free money. It will stay there in debt.
Listen, Shaina, we don't have enough time to talk about that in this episode, because that is something I'm too passionate about.
Yeah, but so it's a great cause. And so I realized if I did this pageant, I actually have a purpose. So I am Mrs. Rochester. On June 15th, I will be at the RIT Inn Conference Center from 2 to 4, and I will be competing in the Mrs. New York pageant.
Congratulations.
So
awesome.
Hopefully I can inspire people. And I'm uncomfortable. Like, I have to learn how to walk on a stage.
You're telling us, yeah.
I can talk to 3,000 people.
Yep.
Walking in platform heels and a dress. Ooh. So, I mean, you have to be uncomfortable, though, and you have to set yourself goals. Whatever they are, you have to work hard towards it. So it's nice for me. I'm showing my daughter, mommy's doing this new venture, and mommy is now having to do all of the things to make it happen. Mm-hmm. And you can do anything. You have to believe in yourself. So I'm going to go on that stage and I'm going to tell myself, girl, you're going to walk, and you're going to walk. And you have to watch, let me tell you, talk about inspiring. Go on Netflix and watch this show, the movie called Naiad. Okay. She's embedded in my mind now. If this lady can swim from Cuba to Florida, you can do anything.
I've heard about this, yep.
Anything. There is no excuse in life if that lady can swim for over 64 hours straight. Humans have so much potential. Mm-hmm. People just need to tap into it.
Right on.
Yeah, 100%. Right on. I think there was one thing that you had brought up too about like, I'm going to be uncomfortable, right? And I know I'm someone that has always struggled with that because I don't like change. I don't like putting myself in uncomfortable positions, which is paradoxical being running a business. But talk a little bit more about that. You know, your whole journey, I think, has been you in uncomfortable situations and having to work through them naturally. But, you know, even advice for entrepreneurs that maybe haven't had the hardest life, but are looking to challenge themselves mentally. What do you think the value of that is, being uncomfortable, getting yourself in hard situations, and then just learning, oh, I did it, you know?
I think everyone, regardless of your upbringing, has to feel uncomfortable, and you have to fail. Part of life is failing, and it could be a big thing, like going from 100 customers to going to 7, or it could be a small thing, like, oh my God, you know, I racked up some debt, you know, which debt really is a small thing. You can always make more money. But people have to feel some sort of failure. If you never fail, how do you ever really know if you're going to win? You know what I mean? Like, you have to feel that. And my husband is a perfect example. He grew up a very different life than me. He had a family that was together. His parents are still together. And he had a wonderful upbringing, and he, you know, started his business, and he still got himself uncomfortable, and he still challenged himself. And, you know, he started one business one place and it didn't work. And then he had to move on to another. You have to fail. He's had so many times, and I've had so many times, where we've thought we were going to win. But guess what? You never know. This beauty pageant, I think I have a good shot. I could walk on that stage and I could bomb it and I could lose.
Right.
Failure can happen to anyone. But if you never feel that, if you're just entitled and you never feel that, how are you ever going to really feel what it's like to succeed and to win? You know what I mean? You can't win every award all the time.
Yeah.
You can't always be the best, but you have to know that too, right? Like, I know there's people better than me. I'm just trying to be the best Shaina that I can be.
Yeah.
You know, so you just have to be the best person that you can be. And, you know, feel all the things sometimes.
It's spot on. And I think we hear it so much, like, oh, don't be afraid of failure. Failure is part of the process. But actually, like, practicing that, and when it happens, not feeling like your life is over.
Yes.
That's the key right there. I use this phrase all the time. It's like, you're going to lose many battles, but if you win the war, then that's all that matters.
Right?
And that's the mentality that's taken me through failure after failure of 5 years of growing this business. And we've been through a ton of stuff. And at the end of the day, if you're still alive, you're still going, you're still growing, that's the win. And
Yes.
you just have to keep going.
And the thing about business is, you can never get too comfortable. You always have to figure out, what's the next step? What more can I do? What's a new opportunity? If you get complacent, you don't know the longevity of anything. I'll never forget when I was in college, which also, I think everyone should go to college.
Really?
I don't care what it's for. Even if it's a liberal arts 2-year degree, I think everyone needs some sort of education, because you do get structure from college, even if it's just the knowing to study and then take a test. You get structure that you're not going to get if you don't go. I think I would never take back going to college. Someday I say, when I'm a senior and I have nothing to do, I'm going to go back to get a doctorate just to get one, just to say I'm Dr. Shaina Zazzaro someday.
So can I push back on that a
Yes.
little bit? What if that liberal arts degree puts you in $100,000 in debt?
Then you pay it off.
Okay.
I was in debt. When I was in college, I had like $75 of food stamps. I remember I wanted more groceries. I went to Target. I took out a Target credit card. I got $2,000, and I bought 2 deodorants instead of 1 that day. And I bought a big pack of toilet paper. You know, I mean, I think you have to be in debt. I mean, you have to learn financial literacy. You have to learn, you know, that everything in life is not going to be free. My grandpa and I have actually had an argument over this, because I don't want to pay for my kids' college. I'll set them up with a trust fund, sure, but I don't want to pay for their college. I want them to experience some sort of debt and some sort of repayment system. It's just the part of life.
Agreed.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think, and I know we have questions to kind of move on to, but that's one thing that has always stuck out to me. And listening to your story and all these other, business owners and podcasts is, when you're leading a team, when you're running a business, you can't be afraid to live in the gray area, right?
Right.
So there's the black and white of like, I'm either going to do this or I'm just not going to do it. And sometimes you have to learn to compromise a little bit, right?
Yes.
So if it's going to college, getting yourself into debt, but knowing that I'm going to just go make more money to pay this off because it's going to matter, as opposed to, no, I'm just not going to do it because I'm afraid of living in that space of everything's not figured out, you know? And for you, again, yours was sort of a natural experiential process of like, I was never comfortable, right? I was always put in situations, you know?
I was always broke. I was always struggling, and I just always went through it. But in college, I had this teacher in marketing. He drew on the board a grid with 4 squares, and he showed how to become a cash cow. And that's when I learned, and I think when I started, there was this food truck alliance group, and everyone was like, why can't she ever show up to the meetings? And I think some of them thought I was better than the other food truck owners because I had other goals. I knew the food truck would never make me enough money to be happy or to sustain a life. I knew I had my meal service, my catering, my food truck, and my wholesale. So guess what? Food truck business, when it goes away, I still have the other 3. Never, ever put your eggs all in one basket because you could lose that. Always have other options and other things that you know you can do.
I love that you said that because we actually recently not pivoted, but kind of added this second division onto our business with commercial video production. I started the business. We were doing real estate photography. That's what the business was born as. And now we're adding a second layer and really where we want to take the business long term, but it diversifies our clientele, it diversifies the jobs that we have coming in, the cash flow and revenue, and it just makes our business more solid as a whole when you have multiple parts to it like you do. So I love that you said that.
It doesn't create comfort, but it makes it less scary of failure.
Yep.
Right?
In fluctuation.
Right.
Yeah. Let's end with this. Goals for the future. Where is Shaina going? I know you kind of already told us like what you want to do long term, but with Effortlessly Healthy, what's the plan? How big do you want to grow? Do you want to be in multiple locations? Like, give us the scoop of what's inside your mind.
Honestly, I would hope within the next 10 years, someone buys Effortlessly Healthy and takes it to a national level. It is admittingly something I do not want to do. I feel that I have a great company. I love it so much. Putting it in all of the states is not something I want to do because I have other goals for myself, and I really love being a mom, and I'm not willing to take time away from my kids to grow it to that extent. However, I do see more wholesale in my future with Effortlessly Healthy. And until that magical day of a magical buyout, we will continue to grow wholesale. Hopefully we get in with some larger vending companies and do that. I would like to keep expanding into more hospitals. If you go to Strong Hospital, Highland Hospital, Thompson, you'll see my food in the cafeterias. Just creating more healthy options for more businesses. And worst case, if I never get a buyout and never grow to a national brand, I really just know Effortlessly Healthy will keep thriving in Rochester and at least be one great option for people to have healthy food. Personally, I truly want to become someone like Mel Robbins.
Oh, I love that.
That is my goal. I would love to be Mel Robbins #2. I want to travel around. I want to inspire and motivate people and share my story and be real and raw and tell people that they can truly do anything because I have. And you can create the life you want because I've done it. And everyone has potential. They just have to believe in themselves. So hopefully someday that is my goal, to really travel and be a motivational speaker, and maybe I'll have my own podcast someday. Who knows?
I could see it.
I
could see it. Well, Mel, if you're watching, you heard it here first.
I sent Mel a message on Instagram. I was like, I'm interested in being just like you, I've told her.
Yeah.
Because she's a very powerful lady, but she's not traveling around speaking as much anymore. And she is a powerful, very confident, wonderful source with another great story of failure to success. So I think if Mel Robbins hears this, give me a call, Mel.
Who knows? Parting piece of wisdom for our audience. What do you want to leave everyone with today? I know we've been through a lot here.
She's dropped a lot. Let's be
dropped a
honest.
lot.
Okay.
So much.
Yeah.
What do you want to wrap up with?
First of all, if you have listened to or watched this entire podcast,
You're a real one.
Thanks. You're awesome. Honestly, like I've said, business is hard. Life is hard. It doesn't matter what you're going to do. If you want something bad enough, you have to deal with the uncomfortable. You have to deal with the failure. You have to dig deep in your mind and believe in yourself. You have to take care of yourself physically. You have to exercise. You have to eat healthy. It is so, so, so important. You want to live a long life. You have to fuel your body properly. You have to find a couple of good friends. You don't need a huge clique of people. You have to realize who your acquaintances are and then who your real friends are and keep them separate, but they don't have to know they're separate. You know what I mean? But don't get in your own head too much and don't worry about what everyone says about you. I know I'm going to go for this beauty queen thing and people are going to, oh, she thinks she can be Mrs. Rochester and a beauty queen. Yeah, I mean, do you want to come and compete with me? You're welcome to. I mean, there's a reason everyone doesn't do it because it's scary and it's uncomfortable. But you have to break that and you have to keep challenging yourself. I constantly challenge myself. My mom's like, you do too much. I'm like, but I will be bored if I don't. So just channel your inner Shaina sometimes, and you got this.
Right on. Shaina, thank you so much for
Thank
doing
you.
this today. It's been an honor to have you on the show.
It's been fun.
And thank you for bringing us a meal, too. I'm looking forward to
I'm
trying
going to get
that.
you another one.
Hey, listen, I think I might just take it from him. So don't even worry about it.
he'll
I'm just
probably
going to
steal
steal
it
it
from
and
me.
just start eating off the plate.
I
That's
actually
fine.
brought you one of my favorite meals too. It's so good. It's a coffee ancho dusted pork tenderloin with a mango salsa and a chipotle mashed potato. It's really yummy.
Yeah, you definitely got to steal that from me. Shaina, where can people connect with you if they want to learn more?
Follow me on Instagram at Shaina Zazzaro. I always post like a minute or two, little motivational something. I talk a lot about health and wellness. Like that's my main thing. I just want people to be healthy. Some business stuff too and some life things. Come to the pageant if you can and cheer me on June 15th. And ehmeals.com for Effortlessly Healthy. And listen, I'm going to be real with you. The meal service, it is convenient. It is delicious. You spend $100 a week. You don't have to cook. You don't have to grocery shop. I don't know why every single person in Rochester doesn't do it. I mean, honestly, I don't
bias.
cook. I don't do any of it.
Yeah.
I buy fruits and then I get all of my food delivered. I mean, there's no point of doing the work if you have Effortlessly Healthy, and it'll keep you in good shape and healthy. And if you have a grandparent or someone in need of meals, I highly recommend the service for them. We help a lot of people, seniors, disabled. If you know someone that's going to have a baby, buy them a gift certificate for a week of meals so they have an easy week when their baby's home. Surgery recovery, all of the things. So ehmeals.com.
Right on, right on. Well, guys, go follow Shaina, Effortlessly Healthy. I hope you found this episode valuable. Looking forward to connecting with you more offline and doing more stuff together. So thank you again for being here.
Thank you. And I have to say, peace out, Rochester. It's my thing. I always throw a peace sign and say peace out.
Awesome. I love that. Peace out, Rochester.
Peace out.
We'll see you in the next one.